Hello, it's me. So today we're looking at Klaus Schwab, head of the World Economic Forum, and along with the World Health Organization, the WHO, two of the main heads of the many-headed hydra, which is currently plaguing the good citizens of this planet today and for the foreseeable future, unfortunately. So apparently, Klaus Schwab and the aforementioned World Economic Forum are facing greater scrutiny. Long overdue, in my opinion. And there have been allegations made against him. And a World Economic Forum probe reportedly shows Schwab manipulated competitiveness rewards. No. A powerful person doing that? No. To serve political interests. Well, the revolving door that used to concern politics and mostly banks and the MPs or senators going into positions of power in industry and banking used to be quite a close thing, but now it's literally bled out everywhere because, why not milk a good thing if you've got it? Let's see what the Sky News Australia reporter has to say on the matter. As I said, pop over there, watch the full article.
Misusing funds and manipulating WEF research. Now, the last one is the one I want to focus on because it's important and because I don't want to imagine what inappropriate messages Klaus Schwab could send, even if it is alleged. The accusation about misusing research relates to the WEF's 2017-2018 Global Competitiveness Report, which ranks countries on their productivity and their long-term prosperity.
Unsurprising.
What made this report so important is that in June 2016, so the year before the report, Britain had voted to leave the European Union.
This means that the UK has voted to leave the European Union.
I voted to stay in the European Union. Coming from Spanish parents who migrated legally here to the UK back in the day, I had a different viewpoint on it. I wasn't afraid of, the Europe and its people. There was lots of talk about illegal immigration then, which was very nebulous at the time, which we found out since appears to be a concerted effort to flood various countries of Europe with migrants for what might be political interests. Yeah, there's a lot of that going around, isn't there? Since, though, I've realised that, my position has changed because Europe is just this political hellscape. And really, it's all by design. It has to be.
You cannot describe how revolutionary that Brexit result was. This was a debate where you had affluent inner-city people on one side saying Brexit should be defeated because of GDP, global travel, their ties to Europe, and the working-class common people on the other side who wanted to be governed by people within their nation, not Europe. The pro-Brexit...
But that's since fallen flat in its face because as part of the Brexit deal, we had to kind of leave Europe slowly and in stages. And we would still be subject to a lot of the decision making as we were, I suppose, ceding from Europe. And there have been grumbles and complaints ever since the Brexit vote happened that, we've left Brexit, but we never left Brexit. And it looks as though now Keir Starmer is by the back door getting us back in to the European Union.
So the least completely underestimated how angry British people were. It wouldn't be the first or last time they would do that. While 73% of politicians, 70% of big business leaders, and 90% of Britain's academia all voted to remain, more British people voted for Brexit than they had any other person or idea in British history, and Brexit passed. So, how would the elite and ruling class react? It started out so promisingly.
We should be proud of the fact that in these islands, we trust the people with these big decisions. We not only have a parliamentary democracy, but on questions about the arrangements for how we're governed, there are times when it is right to ask the people themselves, and that is what we have done.
And even Klaus Schwab, who
They expected to stay in there, the Conservatives,
assuring everyone
and it
that
backfired
he wants a good
massively.
Brexit.
Someone needs a good Brexit. It would be self-destructive for everybody to have a bad outcome of the, let's say, tensions which we see now between Europe and the United Kingdom.
He does sound like a Bond
but
villain.
also inside the United Kingdom.
But that didn't last long. The fact was, the elites had lost, and they were angry about it. So began the longest, most drawn-out betrayal of a democratic vote in recent history. There was no way those who lost the Brexit vote were going to let it flourish. They would try what they could to convince people they had voted incorrectly and push them back into the elites' camp.
In June 2016, we had the
criminal!
referendum and
Allegedly.
expressed the will of the people, but the will of the people isn't something fixed or unchangeable. If the circumstances change, the will can change, the views can change. We knew that we voted to leave the European Union, but we didn't yet know the new relationship. We've got the right to rethink. It's not that we have to rethink, but we've got the right to rethink if we want to.
The pushback started in the negotiations. After David Cameron quit as Prime Minister, since he'd supported Remain, it became Theresa May's job to negotiate Britain out of the European Union, except that she voted Remain too. How often are the terms of victory negotiated between the losers?
When you paint yourself into a
Trial will
corner.
stop here, of course. We had the debate about hard versus soft Brexit, the Northern Ireland Protocol, the nearly £24 billion that went to Brussels from Britain in the years after Britain had left. Which brings us to this World Economic Forum report and the alleged meddling from Klaus Schwab.
Get on with it.
The UK Telegraph writes that in the 2017-2018 report, the UK's ranking improved from 7th to 4th after a change in methodology. But Mr. Schwab, 87, wrote to staff that the UK must not see any improvement.
There you go.
Otherwise, it would be exploited by the Brexit camp. The final report, published in 2017,
We must have the UK.
so the UK had dropped one place to 8th. So the UK went from this to this. Now, the Global Competitiveness Report is more than just a list. It is a
Politics, eh? It's a dirty business. We don't really see any more of that. It's dire. That's what it is. There's a plan being put in place by the leaders of Europe back when the Brexit vote took place. And they really felt that they had it all sewn up. And the British public turned out in their droves. And they literally spoiled the pie. Literally spoiled the pie. And I don't mind admitting that I was wrong. I'd rather be wrong now and see the right, as it's turned out, than just, tough it out, so to speak. That Klaus Schwab is allegedly not playing a straight bat, and that the World Economic Forum is... It's difficult to find words, isn't it, really? The World Economic Forum is a poison for normal citizens? That this attack on sovereignty across Europe, on politics, on farming, on personal liberty, with 15-minute cities, etc. There's something dark happening. And it seems to me and many others so overt now, so open, that when I hear of somebody who is blissfully clueless about the World Economic Forum, and the World Health Organization, I'm genuinely amazed. Now, I wouldn't necessarily be against a complete and full European Union if it wasn't for the fact that there appeared to be so much evil being done in order to bring it about. And it seems to me that the evil was brought about when these organizations that we're talking about here realized that they, with the loss of Britain, they had to redouble their efforts. And if that meant potentially exposing themselves, then so be it. Too much had already been done over too many decades to just not have jewel in the crown, which was Britain, because Britain, for a small island, is hugely influential across the planet. So let me know what you think in the comments, whether or not I'm full of guff, talking nonsense, or whether you think that there might be something to what I'm saying. So until next time, this is me signing off. Look after yourselves.